Welcome to Cruise News, your daily update on everything happening at sea. Visit cruisenews.io to see today's stories and sign up for email alerts. So today, we're really looking at how your whole vacation is dictated by things you don't even see.
Oh, absolutely. Like you step on board and expect magic, but there's a lot of rigid mechanics behind that magic.
Right, exactly. I mean, from geopolitical cancellations to onboard staffing constraints and major port upgrades, today's stories show how cruise experiences are shaped by forces both off the ship and on it.
Yeah, it's a massive interconnected puzzle.
It really is. We're going to talk about, ships physically trapped in the Middle East, the hidden rules behind why your favorite burger joint closes early,
Yeah.
and the sheer scale of the concrete required to actually park today's megaships.
And that first story about the trapped ships is just wild. I mean, Celestial Cruises just had to outright cancel all 11 of their April 2026 sailings for 2 ships.
Wow, 11 sailing.
Yeah. The Celestial Discovery and the Celestial Journey. And, there's nothing wrong with the ships mechanically. No shipyard delays or anything like that.
So they're just stuck.
Literally stuck. They spent the winter season in the Arabian Gulf. So right now, the Discovery is docked in Dubai, and the Journey is just sitting in Doha.
Right, and they need to get back to the Mediterranean for the spring. But, I mean, a cruise ship isn't like an airplane, right? You
Yeah.
can't just divert over a different country and add a couple of hours to the trip.
Exactly. I always think about that aviation comparison. If an airspace closes, planes just fly around it. But a ship is this massive floating piece of heavy infrastructure. It's subject to global geography in a way planes just aren't.
Because the route from Dubai to Athens is what, like 4,400 miles?
Yeah, right around 4,400 miles. And it is basically a gauntlet of geopolitical choke points.
So where do they actually have to go to get out of there?
Well, they have to transit the Strait of Hormuz, then navigate the Arabian Sea, go through the Gulf of Aden, and then travel all the way up the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, just to reach the Mediterranean.
And right now, the Strait of Hormuz is functionally closed to international commercial traffic because of the ongoing situation in the Middle East.
Right. It is just not safe for passenger vessels. And if even one of those trade points is compromised, the whole chain is broken. So the ships are trapped in the Gulf.
That is just, I mean, the logistics of that have to be a nightmare. You can't just leave a ship idling for months and wait it out, right?
Oh, not at all. Celestial's CEO, Chris Theophilides, he basically said making the call to cancel now gives them clarity, but unwinding this is a monumental task.
Because of the crew and the supplies.
Yeah, think about the crew contracts alone. You have hundreds of crew members whose visas and flights were perfectly timed to meet the ship in Athens or fly home from there.
Oh, wow. And now the ship is just sitting in Dubai.
Exactly. And all the provisions, the food, the technical spare parts, all of it was already routed to the Mediterranean. They have to completely undo all of that while waiting for maritime authorities to say it's safe to move.
And Celestial isn't the only one dealing with this, right? I mean, a closed strait is closed for everybody.
Oh, yeah. It's an industry-wide headache.
Yeah.
MSC Cruises has the MSC Euribia docked in Dubai right now.
Wait, they're stuck too.
Yep, they canceled the rest of their season there and are just sort of crossing their fingers that they can get up to Northern Europe safely by May.
Jeez. And didn't TUI Cruises have issues as well?
Yeah, TUI has the Mindshift 4 suspended in Abu Dhabi, and the Mindshift 5 is sitting in Doha.
It's a total parking lot over there.
It really is. But the most extreme is Arroyo Cruises. They're a new line based in Saudi Arabia, and they actually canceled their entire inaugural season in the Gulf.
Their entire inaugural season.
Everything. They completely moved operations to the Red Sea and Eastern Med just to avoid the whole mess.
That is brutal. So what happens to all the passengers who booked those April Celestial sailings? I'd be devastated.
Yeah, Lee Hazlitt, their chief commercial officer, said they're prioritizing safety and offering guests a choice between a full refund or a future cruise credit.
Well, that's good at least. Do they have a backup plan for when they actually start sailing again?
They're banking heavily on May. If they can leave the Gulf safely, Discovery will start its Greek Islands program on May 1st.
Ah, okay, so those short trips to Mykonos and Santorini.
Right. And then the Journey is scheduled to kick off its Adriatic runs, hitting places like Croatia and Italy on May 2nd.
Okay, so that's a perfect example of off-ship forces, right?
Yeah.
Global geography literally trapping fleets.
Yeah.
But I want to pivot to the on-ship forces, because these structural limits affect your daily schedule on board too.
Oh, you mean the Great Burger Debate?
Yes, the great burger debate. So we're talking about Carnival Cruise Line and Guy's Burger Joint. An influencer recently sparked this huge online controversy, claiming the venue closes early, like around 6:30 p.m., just to save money.
The classic corporate penny pinching narrative.
Exactly. And honestly, as a passenger, you look at a multi-billion-dollar company and think, why can't you just hire 5 more guys to flip burgers until midnight?
Right, because on land, that's exactly what you do. You want late hours, you hang up a help wanted sign and hire a night shift.
But on a ship, you run into an invisible wall. And John Heald, Carnival's brand ambassador, he had to step in and address this with his, 668,000 Facebook followers?
Yeah, he has a massive audience, and he totally dismantled that rumor. He explained that it's not about saving money on ground beef, it's entirely about highly regulated maritime labor practices.
Because the sheer volume is insane, right?
Yeah.
They serve something like 10 million burgers a year across the fleet.
It's staggering. And on any given ship, Heald pointed out that Guy's Burger Joint is run by just a single dedicated team.
So the people serving you at noon are the same ones there at 6:00 p.m.
Exactly. And their day is so much longer than the opening hours. They start their heavy prep work around 9 a.m.
to get ready to serve like 1,000 or 2,000 burgers a day.
Easily, sometimes more, depending on the ship's size. And then when they close at 6:30, they aren't just clocking out. They stay late to do heavy-duty cleaning and sanitizing to meet international health codes.
So they're exhausted. Which brings me back to my first point. Why not just add a night shift? Just bring more crew on board.
And that is where you hit the hard reality of maritime law. A cruise ship is a closed ecosystem. It's basically a zero-sum game of real estate.
Because every bed is taken.
Literally every bunk. John Heald was super blunt. He said, there is no more crew. Pretty much every crew bed is taken.
And it's not like you can just squeeze an air mattress into a storage closet.
No, absolutely not, because it's tied to the lifeboats. International safety regulations strictly cap the total number of souls allowed on board based on survival craft capacity.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the lifeboats.
Yeah, you physically cannot add one more chef without violating safety protocols unless you kick someone else off the ship.
So if you demand late-night burgers, you have to steal crew from somewhere else? Like what, you fire a cabin steward?
Right. Do you want your room cleaned less? Do you want fewer performers in the theater? Every single department is fighting a turf war for that finite bunk space.
That really changes how you look at it. It's not some spreadsheet decision to save a few pennies on cheese. It's a structural limit.
It is. But there's also a business model angle to this. The influencer who started the fuss pointed out that other cruise lines keep their pool deck burger places open way later.
But those aren't always free, right? It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Precisely. On a lot of those competing lines, you're paying an extra cover charge for that late night food. Guy's Burger Joint is completely complimentary.
Right, it's an included perk.
And if a venue charges extra, a cruise line can justify giving it that precious crew space because it generates premium revenue. It basically pays for its own turf war.
But for a free, high-volume place on the Lido deck, the math just doesn't work.
Nope. Heald wrapped it up by saying what a lot of Carnival loyalists think. I'll keep my free Guy's burgers, thanks.
And, I mean, if you're really that hungry after 6:30 p.m., they still have late-night pizza and room service.
Exactly. You're not going to starve on a cruise ship.
Never. But, this whole crew bed limitation really highlights a broader tension in the industry. If you want to offer more amenities, but your crew capacity is capped by the physical hull, the only solution is to build a bigger ship.
Which is exactly what they're doing. The ships just keep getting larger.
But when you build bigger ships to solve the onboard real estate problem, you create a massive off-board problem.
Yeah.
You hit a bottleneck when those mega ships actually have to interact with the land.
Yeah, you basically break the ports.
Literally. And we're seeing this play out right now in New Zealand. The Port of Auckland just announced this huge project called Te Waharoa.
Right. It's a 200 million New Zealand dollar international cruise terminal.
Slated for Bledisloe North Wharf, aiming to open early 2027, maybe March-ish. Why are they dropping that much money right now?
Well, the port CEO, Roger Gray, was very clear. It's a direct reaction to the megaship era. We're talking about vessels up to 350 meters long.
Like Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas kind of size.
Exactly. When a behemoth like that pulls into a traditional port, the water isn't deep enough or the pier isn't long enough for it to berth alongside.
So they have to drop anchor out in the middle of the harbor.
Yes. And that means you have to use tender boats.
Oh, I loathe tendering. For anyone who hasn't done it, they basically lower the ship's small lifeboats into the water and ferry you back and forth to the dock.
It is agonizing. It takes hours to get thousands of people off the ship. You just sit in the stairwells waiting for your group number to be called.
And if the weather is bad or the water is choppy,
Yeah.
they just cancel it entirely and nobody goes ashore.
Right. Roger Gray called it a terrible customer experience, and he is totally right. So the whole point of Te Waharoa is to eliminate tendering completely.
So they can just tie up directly to the dock. How fast can they move people through this new facility?
It's designed to process an incredible 1,500 people every hour.
Wow. So you can empty out a whole mega ship in what, a couple of hours?
The operational target is to fully discharge or load a 350-meter ship within just 3 hours.
That's amazing. You just walk off the gangway, breeze through customs, and you're right in the central business district.
Yep. They're even building this highly efficient matrix for buses and taxis, so all the shore excursion logistics are seamless.
But I have to wonder about the economics. Pouring $200 million into concrete is a heavy lift. How does a country like New Zealand justify that cost?
The numbers are pretty convincing, honestly. Cruising already brings in over 600 million New Zealand dollars a year just to Auckland.
Just to Auckland.
Yeah, and nationally, tourism makes up 7.7% of New Zealand's entire GDP. Right now, Auckland handles about 300,000 cruise passengers annually.
Okay, so a decent chunk.
But with this new terminal, they are explicitly targeting an additional 100,000 passengers a year.
And when you have an extra 100,000 people walking straight into your downtown shops and restaurants, that $200 million terminal pays for itself pretty fast.
Exactly. And it's not just Auckland acting alone. This is part of a massive, coordinated national strategy. New Zealand really wants to dominate the regional cruise market.
What else are they doing?
Well, the government just reversed a potential ban on cruising in Milford Sound, which is huge.
Oh, right, because Milford Sound is like the marquee natural wonder for those itineraries. Planners need that spot.
Definitely. And they're also heavily investing in specialized hull cleaning facilities for biofouling.
Biofouling. For those listening who might not know, that's when, like, invasive marine species or algae attached to the underside of the ship, right?
Right. And New Zealand has some of the strictest marine ecosystem protections in the world.
Yeah, haven't ships been literally turned away at the border recently over this?
Oh, absolutely. Forced to sail back out into international waters for emergency hull scrubbings. It's been a nightmare for cruise lines.
So by building these specialized cleaning facilities right at the port, New Zealand is removing another massive barrier for the operators.
Precisely. They are solving the tendering problem, the environmental biofouling problem, and securing access to places like Milford Sound.
That is just a masterclass in infrastructure alignment. And the cruise lines are already reacting. Right?
Yeah. Carnival Cruises just announced they are redeploying the Carnival Adventure to sail out of Auckland starting in 2027.
Right when the new terminal opens. Perfect timing.
Exactly. But there is a catch. Industry experts are warning that this could hit a ceiling if Australia doesn't step up.
Because so many of those South Pacific itineraries rely on Australian ports, too.
Right. Australia lacks a similarly cohesive national strategy for mega ships right now. So you could have a beautifully efficient terminal in Auckland, but hit a massive bottleneck on the Australian end of the voyage.
It is genuinely fascinating how all of this is so interconnected. You know, you pull one thread like a closed strait in Dubai, or a galley schedule on Carnival, or a new concrete wharf in Auckland, and the reality of those operations just ripples across the globe, dictating the exact vacation you get to experience.
It really is, and it leaves you with this compelling paradox to think about.
Oh, what's that?
Well, as cruise lines keep building these massive 350-meter megaships to maximize onboard economics and squeeze every drop out of their finite cruise spaces, they solve their own real estate problem, but they create completely new vulnerabilities on the outside.
Yeah, because they're too big for traditional ports without quarter-billion-dollar upgrades.
Yeah.
And they're too risky to move through global choke points without paralyzing the whole fleet.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if we'll eventually see a future where the ship itself just never docks anywhere, where it just becomes this permanent, self-sustaining floating island that you have to fly a helicopter to.
Wow. That is a wild thought. But looking at the scale of these structural forces, it might not be as crazy as it sounds. Thanks for listening to Cruise News. Visit cruisenews.io to catch up on the latest updates and sign up for free email alerts.